got one of the best centers in the world, I tell you. We've got great music, we've got great leadership, we have great people. Great people. You are great. And so my question, as always, is, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready to be free?
Yes.
Are you ready to cast aside any sense of burden or struggle and fly like you were meant to do? Yes. Then we're going to do our treatment for freedom together, aloud. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we use our 5 points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience, and I always keep my agreements. And so it is. Yes. How many of you are doing that every day? Wonderful. Have you seen or felt a difference in your life? Yes. So those of you who want to have a difference in your life, Amika just bought a house and moved her business and all of that last week. If you want to have a difference in your life, I encourage you to do this treatment. They're on the Welcome Center, and what they do is they set spiritual law in motion. They give you that stone of truth to shift your circumstances. Last Friday night, John and I were watching a movie on Netflix, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's called Slingshot, and it's about a documentary about Dean Kamen, who created the Segway. Yeah. He also created the wheelchair that goes upstairs and will bring someone up to the head level of everyone standing around them. And he also created a little machine that takes hazardous, toxic waste mud puddles and turns it into medical grade, pure drinking water. He's connected with Coca-Cola, and those machines have been and are being distributed around the world. And he calls that machine a slingshot, referencing David and Goliath, that all you need is a small answer, even though your problem is really, really big. 50% of all disease is caused by polluted drinking water. 50% of all disease around the world is caused by polluted drinking water. And he said, I can make this better. I can make this better. I have an idea that says, even though the problem seems really, really big, we can have something work out so that people can have clean drinking water no matter where they are, no matter what they have access to. Interesting for me that when you provide people clean drinking water, girls go to school. It's a direct correlation because girls are the ones who spend all day searching for water, even when it's polluted. So girls get to go to school, people get to have clean drinking water, and he named his machine the slingshot. And I want to remind you a little bit about the story of David and Goliath, and everybody take a deep breath. I know I've already gotten a little bit of pushback about this today, so take a deep breath. Yes, it's going to be a Bible story. You're going to be okay. David was a little guy. David was a little guy, and he had 7 brothers who had gone to war to fight the Philistines. And the big head honcho of the Philistine army was a guy named Goliath. Goliath was almost 10 feet tall, and he would come out on the battlefield every day, and he would taunt the Hebrew army. And he would say, just you bunch of cowards, just send me one. Just send me one. Send me your best guy, and I'll fight him. And if I win, then you serve me. And if that person wins, I and all of my people and army will serve you. And when the army people, when the warriors heard that, they would turn around and run. They turned around and fled. They were terrified of this almost 10-foot high guy that was just flaunting it in their face, saying, you small fries, you can't beat me. I've got it all over you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to feed your body to the birds and all that stuff. Really scary stuff. And so every day for 40 days, which is the number of completion in numerology and shows up in the Bible over and over and over again. The flood was 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus' time in the wilderness was 40 days. Moses wandered for 40 years. 40 is just a number. The whole Bible is an allegory and a metaphorical story. It's not necessarily true. Take a deep breath. Actually, just to get in a little bit, I'll be quick. The Bible was written when the Hebrew people were enslaved in Babylon in 800 BCE, before the Common Era. They wrote a story that says, my God's better than your God, ha ha ha, we're slaves, but you won't knock us down. It's called the Bible. So this being the Word of God and all of it being absolutely correct and factual and historical is not necessarily true. So back to David. David was a shepherd, and David took care of his father's sheep, and he went to bring food for his brothers while they were fighting. He brought some bread. He brought some cheese for the general and the king, and he was just a boy who was delivering lunch. That's all he was. And he went there and he delivered the lunch, and then he went out to say hello to his brothers. And during that time, Goliath came out onto the battlefield. You people, you got nothing over me. I'm going to kill you. And just send me one guy. And if I win, we serve you. If you win, you serve us. So David looked around and watched everybody run away. And then he went to the king. He said, I can do this. I am not afraid. I can do this. And the king's looking at him going, you're just a boy. You're just a shepherd. You're not even old enough to fight in the army yet. And you think you can do this? And David said, I watch my father's sheep. A lion came, and I killed the lion. A bear came, and I killed the bear. Now remember, this is symbolic. This is the big, bad, scary things have already attacked me and mine in my life, and I triumphed over them. I used my knife to kill them. It was up close. It wasn't a long-range rifle. I did that. I know who I am. I can do this. And it says that Saul really didn't have any other choice. Nobody else was volunteering. They had been out there for 40 days. So he said, okay, come on in and I'll put my armor on you. And they put all this armor on little David, and little David almost fell over because he had never worn armor before. When we try to be like other people, it doesn't work for us. It doesn't fit us. And frankly, the Hebrew army had already tried that kind of warfare where you put on armor and pull out a sword, And it wasn't working. And so they wanted David, who's saying, I can do that, to come into alignment with what they had already done and be like them. Thank God he said no. Because to keep trying to fix a problem the same way that hasn't worked up until now, they call it crazy. So he said, no, this doesn't work. This isn't mine. This isn't who I am. I know what I need. And so he went to the stone. He went to the creek and he got 5 stones. Now, any kind of a rock in the metaphysical allegory of the Bible means truth. So he went to the river, which is the running fluid water of life, and he pulled out pieces of truth that he knew. They were his. He was comfortable with them. He had used them in the past. And he pulled out his slingshot and he marched onto the field to battle Goliath. Now, it was interesting that his brothers didn't want him there. They said, what are you doing? You're embarrassing us. Go home. Take care of your sheep. Be who be that little person that we expect you to be. Now, it's getting close to the holidays. You may have some siblings like that that say, what do you mean you're talking about creating your reality and you're doing affirmations and treatments and you're manifesting and you say you can do anything you want. Go back and be the little person that we expected you to be. And so David had to say, no, I won't do it. I will not do that. And out he marched onto the battlefield, took up his slingshot, his sling, and put the stone in it and threw the stone. And where did it hit Goliath? The third eye. And not only did it hit him, but it actually penetrated into his head. It didn't just bounce off. It penetrated into his head. Now, what happens when we pick up truth, no matter how small it is, and put it into our problem? A problem that everybody else says is insurmountable, that you'll never be able to triumph over it. You'll never be able to handle it. It's bigger than all of us put together. What happens when you take a little piece of truth and put it into that problem? The problem dies. The problem falls on its face. And it's gone. It's gone. It's transformed. It's dead. You've taken everything out of it by putting a little bit of truth into it. And I love that story because it doesn't say that we've got to be all enlightened to handle our problems. It says we need a little bit of truth. I mean, maybe it was a stone this big, but it couldn't have been much bigger than his fist. He had to swing that sucker around and let it fly. He had to stand there without any armor, just knowing who he was, and be able to be upfront and personal with that problem and know that he would triumph. Because he had triumphed before, because he had faith in himself. He had to be able to stand in the clarity and truth of who he was. And all he needed was a little piece of truth. Somebody called me in a conversation last week and said, I'm worried about finances and I'm thinking about starting to tithe. Will my worry screw up the tithing process? And I said, no, all you need is a little piece of truth. All you need is a little bit. We don't have to beat ourselves up and try to make ourselves into some kind of idealized image of spiritual person before we can have money, healthy bodies, wonderful relationships, before we can allow our lives to unfold. You need a little piece of truth. And you don't have to go far for it. I saw an actual picture of the stream bed that was where David supposedly got the stone. And it's just a little stream. You don't have to go far. You don't have to order it off the internet. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to have special esoteric meaning to the kind of stone it is. He picked up a smooth, round stone. A smooth stone. It fit. He knew it. He used it in the past. And what I want to say today is that I don't care how big your problem is. I don't care what you've got going on. I don't care how many people are telling you that it's too much. That somehow this problem is more than you can handle. Somehow this diagnosis, this bank statement, this contract, this experience is more than you can handle because you have that small piece of truth. As soon as you walked into the center and somebody said, God is all that there is, you are a perfect manifestation of the divine, you are powerful beyond your wildest dreams, you are manifesting your life with every thought, every word, every feeling, every choice you make. You are the creator of your universe. You are the captain of your ship. You determine your destiny. You got that piece of truth. And once you got it, you're never going to lose it. You don't need to have a boulder. You don't need to build a wall. All you need is the courage to be able to step forward, believing in yourself, and know that once you take that piece of truth and put it into your problem cannot live. Michael Beckwith says, stop telling God about your big problems. Start telling your problems about your big God. Once you get that idea that says there's a solution to every problem, an answer to every question, that this is not happening to me, this is happening for me, that this is a step along the path, that something wonderful is happening here. I am a half-baked cake, and everything is working out great. I'm supported by all of life. I always have more than enough to do whatever it is I choose to do. Once you look at that problem and go there, the problem must die. And I know people are saying, but I don't know how it's going to die. You don't need to know how it's going to die. I don't know how I'm going to fix it. You don't need to know how you're going to fix it. For that matter, you don't really get to know how you're going to fix it until it's time to fix it. We didn't get a plan 20 years down the road. We get to take another breath. We get to take another step. We get to think another thought. We get to make another choice. And in that instant, we create a reality that has whatever it is we need, and nothing can stand up to that. People called David crazy. He was out there half naked with a little leather sling and a rock. And he changed the course of history. He changed his history because that little boy in the field, David, turned into the king. How else are you going to get what's rightfully yours, your divine inheritance, without standing up to the creations of your life and taking them on? How are you going to get to be who you have come here to be until you start being who you have come here to be? To run away in fright, to believe what everybody else says. Oh, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Oh, people are killing each other left and right. Oh, we're going to break a war. All that stuff. Again, what a crock. To believe all of that stuff is to not get what is yours. And I want you to know that there is a lot that is in store for you. There is a lot waiting for us. It is light and love and peace and joy. It is prosperity and health and happiness. It is yours and mine waiting for us to be the person that can have it. The little boy in the field had to not let his brothers chase him away. He had to not let the king try to turn him into something he wasn't. He had to stand almost naked out in the field against his greatest fear with a little stone and a piece of leather. And because he did that, he got what was rightfully his. So what are you running from? What are you falling away from? What do you think is too much? What is the next step for you to make? If you make that step, if you trust your genius, if you understand who you are God-informed, for God's sake. You are the magnificence of the universe let loose on planet Earth. You have everything that you need. All you have to do is step out there. All you have to do is say, this is what I know. It's different from what you know, but this is what I know. This is what I have. I've used it before. I know that it works. I'm going to go out and challenge my greatest fear, and I'm going to claim my divine inheritance. I'm going to be king. And nothing can stop me. And so it is.